be geared towards me being able to just simply say whatever, and I can just get along with my day and have it all just be done without having to stress about scripts or anything like that. So everything I say is just going to be coming straight from the tap, and we'll just roll with it and see how it goes. So for the first video...
It's actually funny that he's doing it that way. I know I'm pausing it super quick, but that's like, he is more of a YouTuber. So for YouTubers, like, they normally have scripts, they usually edit, you know, everything. But what he's talking about doing, just saying like all of his random thoughts through like all of the portions of the story of ARR until the end, is such a streamer thing to do, because you just don't stop talking and you try to incorporate chat as much as you can. So it's just kind of funny that that's the way he's doing it with being a YouTuber, you know what I mean? Because they're just like two different types of content creators for the most part.
This series, let's talk about A Realm Reborn.
Okay, that was a cool touch. I would teach you how to play your class if I could. If I knew the class, I would help. Okay, that's a really cool touch to have his little, like, black mage VV over there for everything. That's really cool.
Oh, and before I go on, I should probably give you all the heads up that I'm going to be spoiling the entirety of A Realm Reborn here, including the post-patch MSQ. So, yeah, if you haven't completed A Realm Reborn, don't watch this, please. And I even mentioned the Shadowbringer trailer, and if you haven't seen that, also don't watch this, please. So, A Realm Reborn. Starting off with the journey, I kind of had my expectations set really, really low going in, because before I got into Final Fantasy XIV, I was seeing all these other people who were mentioning the game and trying to get other people to play the game, was that they kept urging everyone to just please at least tough it out through A Realm Reborn, because people kept saying that A Realm Reborn was by far the weakest of the whole thing, outside of 1.0, but you can't play that. So my expectations were set super low, like dirt to the ground when I heard all that. But going through the actual story itself, everything was just a good time because it was exceeding my incredibly low expectations. Now, I'm gonna keep by what I said when I said the quests were similar to WoW, in which it was just a bunch of fetch quests and just kill X amount of things, please, and come back, because it's pretty much like that for a good while, and there were quite a few of those because I went through the MSQ before they even changed the A Realm Reborn stuff going.
Look at that UI. Is that like the starting, like, percentage of what the actual bars normally are? Is that 100% or 120? And then he actually has potions out over here. That is so cute. And then all of his, okay, he literally changed this from a 14 UI to a WoW UI. Especially with having the bar up over here on the side like this. And having his mount and limit breaks and his enchanting and stuff like that be over here. That's really funny. That's neat. Yeah, no, that's what I'm, like, it's cool. Like, I knew it was fully customizable, but it's adorable that it's fully customizable and he changed some things to be like WoW things. It's kind of cool, actually. Although, this is different, like having these be square. And like, I've never seen this before, having this be like square and rectangle. That's actually really clean. I'm really, yeah, 110, 120%. I normally don't see people, I feel like mostly when I see like between like 110 and 120% for the hotbars is more of like on controller. Having all of the icons be that big. I feel like usually with mouse and keyboard you make them smaller. That way you have more area to see things around you. Or I'm kind of, I'm guilty of this, whereas in WoW, I use the classic UI. But I usually use quite a few add-ons. So like weak auras and tell me when and things like that. And I'll put all of those add-ons right around my character. And because you use DBM in WoW, you don't necessarily have to watch where you're standing except for like void zones or puddles or things like that. And you can clearly see those. So I'll have all of these add-ons around my character. And then I'll have, even though I use the classic UI, I'll still have it be the smallest classic UI that I can use. So in 14, because I'm so used to that, I still have it be close to, if not, the smallest UI that I can use. And then everything else for the HUD, I put right around my character. So like if you guys didn't see, can you see my cursor here? No, you can't. But just to the right of my character is where I have the HP bar. Just under that is where I have the status info for the target and the cast bar. And then just underneath my character is the target bar, the status enfeeblements, and the status enhancements as big as they can go. And then right up next to my character's like head, especially if I'm tanking, is where I have the enemy list, and the same thing. And it's because in WoW, that's where my add-ons always are, so it's all around my character. Although it's funny that in 14, I probably shouldn't do that, even though I'm used to it, because of the amount of mechanics being movement-based in 14, rather than like DPS-based or CC-based or target-based. So it's kind of funny. Just a little tidbit.
Going on with patch 5.3. So I don't know what they all got rid of, but I probably won't remember it if I do go back through it, because I feel like I kind of just forgot a whole bunch in Reborn, because there's a lot of things in there that just didn't feel really relevant. But going to the main story of things, I started in Gridania because Lancer and whatnot, and honestly a whole bunch of that segment was just a giant blur. I hardly remember a thing outside of Mr. Ascian making a giant rock monster.
That's unfortunate but reasonable.
Lobster!
Oh my god.
So that was a thing. Going along with that, you eventually get more acquainted with the Science of the Seventh Dawn, and they were a nice little crew. I ended up liking quite a bit of them.
I was just about to take a sip of coffee. Can you imagine if I'd grabbed my coffee and took a sip when that happened?
Limo and Yida were the first ones I met, and I really liked Papa Limo in particular out of those two. Yida just felt kind of like, I don't know, empty-headed, just a bit reckless, you know, that type of character. So she was for me.
Well, it's nice to see you too.
Papa Limo, I felt like he knew some things, and I kind of wanted to delve into his little noggin there, though I didn't get a whole lot of chances to really talk with him, so there's that. Then you have Thancred. I didn't know how to feel about him. I liked his swagger, but at the same time, I thought he was always getting into things that, you know, he kept biting more than he could chew.
You'd best come along with us.
I'll have you know I have the reflexes of a cat. And the speed of a mongoose. I dare ya!
Then you have Y'shtola, who I liked all around. She seemed like a really competent and active character in the whole story. She didn't get a whole lot of screen time.
Are any of you surprised? Like, I loved Papa Limo too, especially what happens with him later in Stormblood. But, like, yeah, everyone loves Thancred's swag. Most of the time for Ida, because you really don't know a lot about her, you're like, okay, Ida's just kind of there. Papa Limo, you just like because of his voice, and he's kind of like in charge in that little duo. But who doesn't love Y'shtola? Like, I am not surprised by this at all. Like, at all. Okay, so spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't done Stormblood. I'll try to do this in the best way possible. I was really hoping that what happened was just a ruse, and he didn't actually do what he did. And I was hoping that he stopped it, and then he was going to come back, like what happened with like Thancred and the other scions that you've seen, like stuff like that has happened multiple times. But then when his enchantment of the tattoo went away, I was like, yep. Of a real life Y'shtola, yeah. Then water, no wonder he wanted to go back to the source.
During Reborn, but whenever she was around, it felt like things were gonna start getting done because she seemed to be the type to keep things moving. I don't know, there's something about her that felt like things were really just pushing along whenever she was being involved and that real progress is being made. And then there's Minfilia. I liked her. I really thought her as like a really friendly individual. She always stood next to that desk and didn't really do a whole lot of stuff. Sure, yeah, she was in the leader.
Oh my gosh, the ARR opinion of Minfilia. Yeah, she just stood behind the desk and didn't really do much. You just wait, Lucron. You just wait. And I wonder if anyone mentioned the butt window. Do you think anyone mentioned the butt window to him? Like, calling you to come back? I know, but it's just funny that this is like the ARR standpoint. Like, compared to everything that happens later, it's so cute being like, she was, you know, there. She stood behind the desk, and they could pull a Louis Swat with Papa Limo. I think I miss Papa Limo. I don't know if he's like out of sight, out of mind for the devs or anything, but I would love to see Papa Limo back. I really, really, really would.
Leadership position and did pretty much all the leading.
Mentions
and
it.
stuff. I don't know. She was just always sitting there. And anytime there was some type of actual thing that came up, she didn't really do anything.
FBI, open up!
I surrender myself on the condition you spare the...
So to me, she seems like the least combat capable, but at heart, she was a really nice person and I could get along with her and I liked her. It's just, it was kind of obvious that she was being set up to be able to fit the whole damsel in distress role because that kind of happened more than once. So outside of that little whole plot cliche thing, I liked her as a character.
But he doesn't know why. Now I'm like, I want his Heaven's Word video. I want his Heaven's Word and Stormblood video, like, now. And it literally took him, he's been playing, like, I think he was worse with getting sidetracked than I was. I don't know how many of you were here, like, when I started playing, but I was like, all I want to do is focus MSQ, but I would get distracted with, like, people talking about other things, or different jobs, or different areas, or unlocking certain things, and to the point where I would forget to do other things. And so it actually took me a really long time to finish the MSQ. And he got like so focused on PvP and stuff and crafting and gathering that it's just, it's funny that it's taken so long. And now I'm sitting here going, I want the other videos because I want to see what his reaction to Minfilia changing and not being the damsel in distress is, you know?
Character. Then you have Urion J, and at this point, he seemed like the reliable book nerd source of information of stuff, and he pretty much was. You just had to sort through the way he spoke in order to get what he was saying, because he speaks in Old English, and
I have to watch
I
the
had
clip.
to do quite a few takes just reading through what he said to understand what he says. Does that mean I'm an idiot? Probably, but that's just my thoughts on Urion J. He was kind of there, and just being, you know, the font of knowledge. Yeah, I could deal. Then you have Alphino. He was a bit of an enigma to me during a Reborn. He seemed like he knew an abnormal amount concerning his age. Like, he seemed to know a bunch of the ins and outs of how things...
Alphino thinks he knows the ins and outs of things. I like this. I like his reaction to this because this is cool. Because he's literally just like, Alphino, you know, knows way too much. I don't know what to think about him. And realistically, the other people who have done, like, especially all of ARR through Heaven's Word, you're just going, yeah. Alphino, you know, he, smart dude. Yeah, definitely. And I'll probably end up posting this on YouTube as well as pretty much all the rest of stream, but cut up so that you guys can see the differences between World of Warcraft and World of Warcraft and Shadowbringers. World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV. We'll get to the Shadowlands versus Shadowbringers too. That's probably going to be my main thing, especially while I level. So I'll probably level through my mage for Shadowlands to be able to be raid ready. But I'll probably save my paladin to level with you guys so that I can do those videos for YouTube. But I will definitely, when I post this, post the link to this video as well because Lucron's awesome. Which is why whenever people ask me to watch the Lucron videos, I do. Because it's just like, I honestly think he's a lot of fun. Like, I think his voiceovers are really fun. All of the things that he adds to the videos are really fun. And I'm liking his reactions to the game so far, for sure. Who hasn't met his first interactive? Yeah, exactly. Will win story-wise for the two based on actual lore in-game. I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to see. I should watch his reactions. I did see that he just started playing. I should watch his reactions. Does he post them on YouTube as well? I've seen him stream. But I've not looked him up on YouTube, so honestly, I'm not as in the know as people might think. Like, I didn't know about Markiplier until someone mentioned Markiplier like 2 months ago. Like, legitimately, like 2 months ago. Someone mentioned Markiplier, and I was like, oh, no, I don't know that guy. And then I ended up watching some videos of his with Chalk. So, but his inexperience, yeah, exactly. He's a really big YouTuber. So one of the things that he did was, you know how at the end of the YouTube videos it does like a suggestion? So one of the big things that he did was a heist, which I actually didn't know until I started watching his like challenge videos. So it's like the try not to laugh at like certain videos or like the try not to smile things. But he does the heist videos where he actually asks the viewer to choose. And then at the end, like another video will come up when you choose, like the choose your own adventure, and you can pick like what portion of the video, and then there's like a ton of different endings to like the heist or the story or whatever you're doing. With Jesse and 14? Really? On YouTube? Can you link? Can you link to me what his ARR reactions are? Because I'll definitely watch them. But anyway, back to this.
Things worked and how to like pull some strings, and I was like, aren't you like 14, dude? So I didn't quite know how to feel about him, because this whole time I felt like he was setting up some type of betrayal, but done in like a suave way of a sorts. So the whole time Alphino was around, I kind of like had my guard somewhat up, but even though he was actually there most of the time when you needed help and help guide everything and put things into motion. So I guess I was just being a little paranoid, because this game likes to throw betrayals at you. So going through along all of that, you end up meeting Ifrit. Actually, you meet Ifrit before you meet the Scions, and it did leave an interesting...
He pronounces it like I used to pronounce it. I always said Ifrit, and then they pronounced it in-game as Ifrit, and I was like, oh, it's supposed to be Ifrit. Proud of myself.
plot point saying that anyone who gets possessed by the primals, there's no way of saving them. You just gotta off them. And that led to some like dangerous speculations I had, like, oh gosh, it's like a zombie type of situation where if any of my friends get affected by this, they're gone. It's like they're zombified, and it's like, no. No, just thinking about it, I was like, oh no, I can see this being a problem. But you being the warrior of light and being completely immune to all that you're just okay. You're just, okay, you do all of it, because the Scions can't do jack. So there's that. Moving on to Titan. By the way, on the freaking pre-quest of Titan, that freaking guy, I was right there with Stola. I was like, did you not hear us? We don't have any time. And he was like, not my problem. Gosh, and that guy made me just go all over the place for a stupid freaking banquet. Freaking rich people things, dagnabbit. So there was that annoying, like, I'm guessing infamous quest that you had to do. Also, I find it freaking great that the Goblin people are doing
it is modeled after Nier.
Tragic war of life through death.
I know.
Over a cheese recipe.
I didn't know that it was an Arabic word, but I do know some Arabic. Like marhaba and K-Pollock and what's the other one? Marhaba is hi. K-Pollock is like what's up or how are you? And then there was a response to it. What was it? I think the response was like alhamdulillah, but I don't know what that means. It's like something like I'm doing well or something like that. Hey, Sai, what's up? The Jesse Cox. Oh, thank you. But yeah. And then what was the other one? Like I'm well, thank you. There you go. And then I want was Ana Baid. And so I always so the dealership that I used to work at was a Ford dealership. And we had 3 guys that were Middle Eastern that worked with us. And one of them always would go and get like coffee for me. And so I had his number and I would text him and I'd be like, Ana Baid Starbucks. And I like didn't even know how to spell Ana Baid. So I would literally just like try to type it and he'd be like, you want coffee? And I'm like, yeah, come up and get my card. I'll buy you coffee if you run and go get it. The term was always, I'll buy if you fly. So, but I had no idea. And then what was the other, so they had Eid, which was one of their holidays. And it was, what is it? Eid Mubarak? Something like that, which is like to have like a happy Eid, like for their happy holiday. Or something like that. Is it Eid Mubarak? Something like that? I'm probably pronouncing that really, really incorrectly. But yeah, so we used to learn like a little bit of Arabic at the dealership that I used to work because we had, yeah, okay. I just wasn't sure if I was pronouncing it correctly, but yeah, Eid Mubarak. Yeah. To finish your blue spell list, I need to do that eventually too. A bit of Turkish. I know quite a bit of Spanish, some German, not a lot at all. And that's pretty much all I know of Arabic. But I know some Arabic, and I knew some Italian. Not much, but I knew some Italian. And I am very Italian, so my family is very Italian. They're all in Alexander? Of course, that stinks. Are they 100% though? Or I forget how blue works. But anyway, back to this, sorry.
Appreciate that being a thing. The almighty holy cheese. But anywho, back to the topic. You get this quest after you beat Titan and it says all good things. And I was like, I don't like the sound of that. I know how the rest of that phrase goes. And then guess what? The freaking Waking Sands shootout happens. And I'm like, because here's the thing. Before I turn in any MSQ quests, I talk with all the other relevant NPCs nearby and see what else they have to say. And when I was at the Waking Sands, I went and talked with the little adventure groups in the back room. And I was seeing their whole little story and their little adventure they were going through. And so I was kind of cheering them on throughout their journeys and whatnot. Then the Waking Sands shootout happens.
If you level sync? Okay, I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Archons of the Signs of the Seventh Dawn, because I saw the trailer Shadowbringers because I happened to be AFK at the main menu longer than 30 seconds. And I watched all of that, and after seeing that, my suspense for any of the Signs of the Seventh Dawn was just completely evaporated from there until all the way to the end of Stormblood. So yeah,
Aww.
Word of warning to anyone trying to get their friends to play
Poor
the game.
guy.
Have them avoid all the trailers, because I heard Heaven's Word does it pretty bad too, and I haven't seen that one yet, but just have everyone
That
avoid all the
sucks.
trailers, because they pretty much spoil the story by seeing it. But going back to what I was talking about, the Signs of the Seventh Dawn, I was fine with, like, yeah, they're gonna get kidnapped, but they're gonna be fine in the end. I'm gonna save them probably. But the other side characters, them I feared for. And who'd I see outside?
Yeah.
Waiting to be put in a caravan? They're the little adventure people back there. The people who didn't make it. And it was really freaking tragic and sad to me. That hit me, 'cause I was like, they had such huge high hopes. And I was so sad. That was a very sad moment. I was upset with that. I was. But at the same time, that also means the writers did their job. I was like, good job, writers. You made me feel things. Going along through that, you end up doing a bunch of sad stuff at the grave.
See, this is why, like, once he actually gets to Shadowbringers, yeah, because he is another person who's coming from WoW, right? And he's even talked about, like, in WoW, he mainly PvP'd, and, like, he bursted to max level 2, so it wasn't like he really paid attention to the story, and even then, the story doesn't, like, grab you as much as it does in 14. And so I'm curious to see how another person who came from WoW will react to the Shadowbringers. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder if it'll affect him the same way. Especially from, like, someone's perspective who mainly PvP'd, which is, like, a lot of people that I've talked to would say, like, if you, like, mainly PvP, like, you're more of, like, a toxic player, things like that. I'm not saying that he is, and I'm not saying that that always happens, but, like, from some people, they say that PvPers can be more toxic and things like that. So I'm just curious, I'm really curious to see what his reaction will be.
Graveyard, you end up meeting your Final Fantasy's resident Cid. Then you gotta go to Kurthus and start trying to get your way into Ishgard. You have that one really freaking annoying Inquisitor guy who pops out of thin air every time you make any progress anywhere. Then you go to an abandoned fortress somewhere and kill a bunch of dragons, and then an Ascian pops in and wakes up the really big dragon.
Yep. Dragons.
I just wanted to say, I'm glad you came along.
Then
Sorry to pop in unannounced.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Well, off to visit your mother.
You're my special friend.
Oh my god.
Kill the dragon, and then you get in the airship with Cid and Alphino, and then you go all the way to freaking somewhere. I think you're going to Gridania, and then you go
What
find
just
some corrupted
happened?
crystals, so you're going all over the place again. And that was a thing. I was like, ugh.
We have enough for 5-man dungeons in the guild, but a lot of the people who are going to raid with us are on a different server. We have people who are on Tyke and a couple of other servers as well. There's a spider right above me, and I'm just sitting there waiting for it to fall on me. And I don't freak out about stuff like that, but I will kill it, so it better not. Don't you dare fall on me, spider. I will kill you. Like, normally I leave them alone because they kill other things that you don't want, but I swear to God, if it falls on me and tries to bite me, I will kill it. And you don't want murder on stream. They need to transfer? Yeah, I think Austin is planning on transferring and 2 of his friends. And I have other people on Bleeding Hollow that are going to raid with us. They just haven't joined the guild yet. I know, that's what it probably is TOS. Don't you wreck my career, spider. I think it's far enough over now that if it falls, it's not going to fall on me. Okay, back to this.
More traveling around the world. So I had to do all that. Come back with the crystals. You end up fighting Garuda and all that stuff, and you go through things, and Garuda is like, I'm gonna kill everyone. And then you're just like, and then you go and queue for that trial, and you kill Garuda. And then you freaking Gaius von Belsar just sitting there on the side, just calling
Gaius von Belsar? Not Van Belsar? Gaius von Belsar. Wait, is it Von or Van? I've always called it Van. But now I'm curious. I really don't know.
Garuda all sorts of expletives, and Garuda's like, I ain't having that, and just kills all the followers of everyone else. And then all the other people being sad and dying summons the other primals, and it's like, oh hey, we got the whole party here. Then the Gundam Mechazoid Zord thing comes out of nowhere, and then he comes in, drops in the middle of them, and he's like, it's dinner time. And then he just grabs them all and bites their heads off like freaking animal crackers.
Bites their heads off like,
like,
animal
oh,
crackers. Okay.
Well then, after
you say
seeing
it,
all
Von.
that, we
I've
had
always
to,
said
start
Van.
bolting out of there because like, well, we can't deal with this thing. So then everyone like bunks their heads together. It's like, what do we do here? We're all stumped. And then something about like finding the scions in this other cash room. You and what was it, Ishtola get together. You, Avano, Ishtola, and I think there was someone else. They get together and they start planning a way to rescue everyone.
That he doesn't care about.
It's like, oh, we're doing it. Oh, friends. Oh, I see your friends. I expected it to happen because freaking Shadowbringers trailer. No, but it's
it
really
is
nice
not. Is it really?
Save your friends. I really liked it. So we go on through there and we do the whole little jump off the cliff thing, and then we get in the airship and everything's all hunky dory.
Oh,
and then
okay,
it's
gotcha.
like, oh wait, there's the Ascian down there. The darn Ascian guy. Then the Ascian shows there was like Thancred. When the Ascian took the mask off and it showed that it was Thancred, that made me start questioning the efficacy of the Shadowbringers.
I love how he does it so, like, he tries to do it so sexy-like. It's like, have you ever met those people where everything they do, they have to do it in a cute way? Like, moving their hair out of their face, or fixing their glasses, or, you know, the way they sit. And then there was this person that I used to know, how she would even try to, like, eat popcorn daintily and cute. So, like, we all went to, no, I don't do that. We all went to the movie theater together, and she's all like one piece of popcorn, and I'm all 2 hands full of popcorn falling out of my mouth. Like, no, with the power of friendship, yeah. But some people do it really intentionally, is what I'm getting at. No, it's cute. You didn't spell that. It's okay. I'm not worried about spelling. Actually, I'm totally judging you on your spelling. Just kidding.
Trailer. I was like, wait, where are you? Did I see another guy in the trailer? Wait, who are you? I'm confused. So that threw me for a loop when I saw Thancred being possessed. I was like, oh gosh. I mean, they did look different between the trailer and what's here.
Yeah.
Does Thancred die? So
Absolutely. You are correct, Spickle. I'm not dainty. And I'm not poised. My balance is very bad, and I'm not graceful. But I suppose graceful goes hand in hand with poised. I've fallen over walking before. And one time when I was in New York, I was raiding, I think, and I went to like say something to Chalk, and I had put for some reason, I had my leg and my foot wrapped around the bottom of my chair. And I went to lean over to talk to him, and I fell out of my chair because my foot and my leg was around the bottom legs of my chair. Yeah. I don't hit people. A PC goblin in your dark PC game.
Well, I was starting to like question things. So after going through some more shenanigans, we get some like armies people together, all together, and we end up invading the Praetorium. So we end up going through the cash room, and then we end up taking down overly obsessed Garlean, and then we go on further deeper, and then we fight the ultimate weapon. It was there's big old stuff going on, and then we end up fighting La Brea at the end. We end up fighting him, beating the crap out of Thancred. Poor Thancred. I don't know how he's still alive after the amount of times I've stabbed him in the gut. And the way the ending cinematic was a little cringy to me, the whole like power of light and friendship going in, just doing like the whole little light dash thing. I was like, it's a little cringy right there. But well, I'll deal, I guess. So we end up taking.
So I wonder how he'll feel about the Hades fight. If he's still continuing to go through the MSQ when all of that happens and you band together during Hades, I wonder how he will feel about that fight after saying that he thought this was cringy. I have the power of Godbert Manderville and anime on my side.
Taking La Brea out with that, then everyone starts collapsing. Oh, by the way, yeah, this is the raid where that almighty great quote by Bias comes from.
Such devastation!
But after doing a little escape theme to my favorite music piece of all time, which is the Final Fantasy theme, freaking love that theme. I love it. I was like, yeah, we did it. We all like settle all happily ever after in the Reborn. And I was like, hey, yeah. And then some Ascian roar thing happens. And it's like, oh no, suspense of the future. And then we get into the Reborn post-patch.
Kill boss, everything explodes.
Honestly, I really liked it because it felt like after Reborn, which is a bunch of world building, and now we have our feet on the ground. So now we can start getting rolling now that we have context of how the whole world works and whatnot.
That's one of my favorite dwarf lines.
We started the whole Crystal Braves arc with Athena, which I thought had some really interesting twists and turns into it. So we ended up doing this whole investigation stuff all around the place. I can't remember a whole lot of details in depth, but I remember just the overall like underlying mystery of Crystal Braves. I don't remember a whole lot about post-patch of Reborn in general. Then we see Moon Brita, who comes out of nowhere. It turns out she had a relationship with Urian J, which I thought was really interesting and helped Urian J become more of a relatable and interesting character, in my opinion. And after seeing them like bounce off, I was like, oh.
Unhand me.
Hey, that's sweet. And then she ends up discovering something extremely helpful for us in being able to wipe out an Ascian for good. But by the time she's ready to like do the first test, we had the invasion of the Ascians into the Waking Sense. They end up stealing Minphilia. And I'm like, what the crap? Here we go in there. Interesting little fight in that little dimension. And then at the end of that whole little endeavor, Moon Brita does her little self-sacrifice thing with the crystal. And after she does that and Urian J gets the news of it, his voice actor, who I'm also aware is the same voice actor as Balthier from Final Fantasy 12, he started having this shaky voice, this weak, quaking voice, and I was just like, oh, that was well delivered. Well done. Props to the voice actor for delivering that line as well as he did. So then we keep on going through the whole thing, and the whole Crystal Brave thing ends up going to a climax with the Parting Glass MSQ quest. I had to put myself in the shoes of someone who's like experienced that as current content, and I could just imagine the amount of overall just like freakouts that moment might have sparked for all these players, because I was just like, wow, this is a really freaking big moment for your character. The biggest moment. Like, yeah, you take out the ultimate weapon, but you've killed gods before. I've seen this moment where your friends are theoretically dead. That's some big, that's big stuff. And I applaud the writers for taking that freaking leap. Man, I really, really like that moment. I was like, this is well done. This whole betrayal thing, I like it. And freaking Robon, I forgot to mention even like Robon's such a Chad. During that moment when he believed that Nanamo was completely...
What? Did he just call Raban a Chad? Okay. The Crystal Brave. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
the poison there. Oh my gosh, I just feel like I want to take a moment here to just say the cinematography in the in-game cutscenes is really freaking good.
It is really
I love
good.
the cinematography that these game
Especially
devs
when he's
use for
red.
all of these cutscenes, because it adds more life with all these dynamic camera angles, and I really appreciate it. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because that moment when he goes in to cut Teleji add a leggy like a veggie, seeing red used that way and just darkening the background right at
Lalafell are potatoes. And he literally just said, cut to Leggy at a Leggy like a veggie. Okay.
that moment. I was like, yes! I love that. I mean, it's freaking anime as all heck, but I love it because that was a very dynamic and well done use of in-game assets, being able to light things up in certain ways. And just seeing all of it take place like that, I was just like, man, this is so cool. They got creative and artistic with it, and just seeing everything darken in the background as Reborn is just in his rage. I've gone on way too long about that, but anywho, after I got his arm chopped off by Elbert, I really wanted to shank Elbert real bad. Like, I knew all the fingers were pointing to him for a good while for being like the traitor, but oh my gosh, I still hated seeing it like through and through. That freaking grin, that smug little smirk thing that those characters do makes me want to just do things that is very angry and violent. But yeah, after that you end up going to your friend Harshafon, who I have yet to really say at all, but he's like the one guy who actually gets you a footing into the whole Ishgardian society. But anyway, we end up sitting with Alphino, who is very, 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 very sad and broken at this point, and I was feeling really bad for him because technically it was his fault in a sense for getting it together to begin with, but at the same time it wasn't. I don't know, it was a rough situation. I wanted to be there for him. That's all I wanted to say. I'm not a good friend, I'll just be there. But he was like the only person we had. It was like, you know what, we'll get through this together. That was when like some serious bonding.
The cocoa. I totally forgot he makes everyone cocoa. Oh.
Started happening with Alphino, because Alphino up to this point, he seemed kind of like the behind the scenes guy, the guy who was really pulling all the strings in the background. But after that whole fiasco, it reminded me that he's still just a kid, just trying to figure out things for himself. He just happens to have a lot of money and power and a good name to be able to do all that. But yeah. Oh, right! I was gonna end it right there, but I forgot to mention how I feel about Tataru. Tataru, don't know how you want to pronounce it, but Tataru, I don't know. Her first impression, she's like singing all happily when she's like doing work and whatnot. Oh, she's an adorable little thing, and she's probably the hardest working out of the lot, because I don't think she gets a break. Like, granted, all the Archons are constantly busy as well, but she's constantly doing all the technicalities of things and all the paperwork. I don't think she gets all the credit that she deserves, because good lord, being able to do all that and still keep a smile on her face. Oh, she's the embodiment of like the work. Oh, she's great. I love her. She's freaking adorable. Now, after I saying all that about Reborn, how do I feel about the whole thing altogether? The story itself was pretty good and decent.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Oh, she's so cute and she works so hard. Like, yeah, but just wait till you see what she does about when Alfie wants to buy a certain weapon. He doesn't know.
However, it wanted to opt in for more world building by throwing in a bunch of different side quests and side stories within the main story.
Exactly.
And to me, that kind of felt a little jarring at times, because those side stories range from really interesting to really dull and boring and stuff I wouldn't really care about. So it was a really mixed bag as to what they tried to do here and there. It was not the best and most fluid experience. But looking at the actual core of the story, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't super mind-blowing, but overall the story, I think, is really enjoyable for a Reborn. Not the best of the lot. It's just, I wish it wasn't slogging itself down so much with all the filler quests. Now, granted, it could be different now. I don't know. But from my experience, it was really slow. Also, it doesn't help that I started off as a Dragoon or Lancer, where you only get like 3 abilities until like level 40 or something. I forget. It was rough.
That also is kind of like pretty much every job, though. Like, I wonder if people in the comments have told him that. We'll have to check out what some of the comments are. But I feel like for the most part, his analysis is correct. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much how I felt about ARR. But like, see, when he does it, because he is more of a YouTuber, like he did this on his own, and it took a while to do it. For me, like with doing it with stream, I've mentioned this with for you guys before, whereas I was able to do it with you guys, so it gave it a bit more meaning, and I could ask questions and not get answers and have people be mad at me because I asked questions, and then I would get mad at people because some people would actually answer me, and I'd be like, I can't believe you told me, and such and so forth. So we had a little bit different experiences, but I can tell, yeah, pretty much. That's what I started with. I started with Archer, so... But I pretty much agree with what he has to say here, though.
That was a rough start. Outside of all of that, like, I'm sure I glossed through a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff I probably just went right on over. But that's all I can say for it as of right now. I had a decent time with the Reborn. Wasn't the greatest thing ever, but I had a good time. And as for how I classify the story, well... It felt typically Final Fantasy, honestly. It felt like a Final Fantasy story through and through. You had like a bunch of magic people struggling against the high-tech, oppressing Imperial people, the Empire. Friggin' the Empire trope is like all over the place in fantasy. But yeah, I had fun. I had fun with it. And it got me absolutely hooked to keep on going for Heavensward, which is a whole nother doozy of stuff. So with all that said and done, I think I'm going to end my whole Reborn rant here. Thank you all very much for watching and or listening, and I hope you have a wonderful life. And don't click links. Take care, folks.
Poor guy.